The Man Whore Podcast is sponsored by BeADandy.com, the only condom subscription service I've ever heard of. Get 50% off your starter pack of condoms when you visit BeADandy.com/podcast. Now let's get to the show.
Welcome to the Man Whore Podcast.
Shout out to all the queers living in the woods of Tennessee. This is Billy Procida, and you're listening to the Man Whore Podcast. All right, look, that one's going to make a lot more sense in about 40 minutes, okay? Hey, what's up, everyone? How you doing? Welcome to the show. I am your host, comedian Billy Procida. If you are new to my program, this is a podcast where I typically talk to women I've hooked up with about sex, dating, and why we didn't work out. However, this week's special guest, not one of my former flames, although holy shit is she gorgeous. I have got on Venus Lux, and I cannot wait to share her with y'all in a bit. But first, show dates, people, show dates. All right, February 18th. If you want to see me get insulted, I'm going to be performing at Comedy Fight Club down at Lucky Jack's on the Lower East Side, February 18th, 10:30 p.m. That's going to be a roast battle between myself and a chick with a dead mom. So surely that's going to be fun. I encourage y'all to come out. Then Connecticut, March 3rd, I'm going to be performing at Comics at Mohegan Sun on the 4:30 show. All my New England fan whores, come on out to that. That show's always a good time. I'm so glad y'all enjoyed episode 200. I got so much wonderful, beautiful, positive feedback about episode 200. I was very nervous recording it and then putting it out there. I thought it was great, and I'm glad y'all enjoyed a change up in the format. Thank you for sending all your compliments for Kenzie and Lindsay my way. I certainly passed them along. But now we're on episode 201. Which is the first episode towards the next 200. All right, I want to read some of y'all emails. We haven't read emails in a bit. Let's get to your emails. This first email comes from Miguel. Subject line, from a newly open relationship, thank you. Miguel writes, long story short, from a 20-year-old pastor's son virgin to a 25-year-old straight guy in denial to an about-to-turn 30-year-old in a gay relationship that just blossomed into an open relationship, I want to extend my sincere gratitude. Albeit I'm a new listener discovering your podcast from a coworker. Hey, what's up, referral? Drop one in the jar. Discovering your podcast from a coworker recently has been like a sexual group therapy session sent from above at precisely the time in my life I needed it most. Navigating through my sex life, mostly solo, while being interested in such a myriad of different things. He spelled myriad wrong. It's okay. It's fine. Being interested in such a myriad of different things, from voyeurism to banging porn stars. He spelled voyeurism wrong too. It's fine, Billy. It's fine. While being interested in such a myriad of different things, from voyeurism to banging porn stars on Fire Island, has left a hunger for dialogue and discourse of, you know, he spelled dialogue wrong too, but look, he's an American. What can I expect? Okay. I'll stop correcting the misspellings. While being interested in such a myriad of different things has left a hunger for dialogue and discourse of like-minded, non-judgmental discussion about the things most of your episodes seem to be about. So I just wanted to take a minute to say, keep it up, and that you just gained another big fan. P.S. I totally attached a dick pic, but cleverly made it something special for you, so you know I listened. And he did, in fact, include a dick pic, which y'all will be able to see on my Twitter feed at @TheBillyProcida, because I am not allowed to post it on Facebook or Instagram. He almost listened. It's a sizable cock. It's an impressive cock, kind of lilts to the left, and he edited the photo to have the words Man Whore Podcast spurting out like jizz out of the tip of his dick. However, if he had listened more closely, he would know, like y'all probably do, that if you must send me a picture of your cock, I want to see Man Whore Podcast or my name written on the thing like in marker, not edited in Photoshop. I want to know you took the time to know whose dick this is. Right, Billy's. All right, that's otherwise without my name on your dick pic, it's just a dick pic. Ugh. But I appreciate the slight effort, so I gave him a B- because he tried, and I think triers deserve a B-. So thank you for that, Miguel. This next email is a feedback email. Comes from Jeff Z, longtime patron. The subject line is, hate it when I feel like a conservative. We'll see how this one goes. Hey, man, I just got around to the Emily Varnum episode, which was episode number 195. Did she seriously say that I can't tickle a baby now? Wow. I'm so glad our collectively unbroken chain of ancestors escaped everything from lions on the Senegal. I almost said Senegal. That would have been embarrassing. I'm so glad our collectively unbroken chain of ancestors escaped everything from lions on the Serengeti, famine, war, so I can experience someone with limited professional training sanctimoniously informing me that bodily autonomy actually starts on day one. Thank you very much. So I and everyone else have been irreparably damaging our kids' psyches this whole time? Eye rolling so hard right now. Props for holding that space. I wouldn't have. Jeff. Oh boy. Okay. Hey Jeff, how you doing, buddy? I certainly don't agree with Emily on all of the extents to which Emily saw problems. And in that episode, we talked about kids' bodily autonomy and having and asking for consent to, say, touch children who maybe don't want to be touched. You know, at the core of the quote unquote tickling issue was that, you know, children have bodily autonomy too. And I think that's an important thing we need to remember. I don't think it's something we talk about. So, you know, if a child isn't comfortable with random hugs, especially from your friends they don't know, we should respect that. Maybe you don't need to ask every kid if it's okay to hug them, but if they say, hey, I don't want to hug that person, maybe let that go. As Emily says, that baby or that child doesn't owe you shit. I mean, yes, I do think it is the best practice to ask the kid. And it's not just because of bodily autonomy. This is also to help teach kids consent at an early young age. If you have your friends ask your child if it's okay to hug them from a young age, they might pick up on like before people touch me, they ask, maybe when I grow up to be an adult, I should ask before grabbing random vaginas. So I think it's a good practice to try out. Do I think every single little thing causes trauma? No. But I think it's a point we don't think of often. You know, like I was certainly nervous saying hello to my Uncle Jimmy for years because he might grab us and give us whiskers. And whiskers with my Uncle Jimmy involved him grabbing us and rubbing his 5 o'clock shadow on our faces. And then he and my parents would laugh. And that hurt like a motherfucker. Not like emotionally. I mean, it wasn't like super traumatic. It just fucking hurt and was not fun. On the trauma side of things, you know, it definitely made me nervous, like when I would see him, because I was like, fuck, I'm about to experience pain because this is Uncle Jimmy. So, you know, you don't gotta ask for everything, but it'd be nice to remember that kids have bodies they control too. Jeff wrote back. Jeff wrote back, quote, children have bodily autonomy too. He says no. He says, nah, it's always superseded by the parent to a varying degree. It's superseded 100% by necessity at first. For example, helpless newborns. That percentage decreases over time with age and varying parental authoritarian tendencies. This is very obviously backed up by the legal system on every country on earth. Everything from you need to sit here and eat dinner, or you need to sit here and let the doctor give you a shot, or you need to sit here and let Aunt Esther, who you've never seen, give you a hug and a kiss, or you need to sit here and get your ears pierced. Which that last one was kind of weird because I don't know parents out there being like, hey, you kid, we got to give you some slutty earrings. Sit down. Because your parents said this is okay, everything will be okay. And communal human existence requires a certain trust in authority. Different parents can cater to that child's choice. So, if a child isn't comfortable with random hugs, a parent can respect it by catering to that request with no questions asked, but by no means do they have to. Or a parent can investigate why the kid has a problem with something. For example, hey, mom, whiskers hurt like a motherfucker. And then you can fix the problem. Like your parents should have told your uncle to knock it the fuck off. If the kid doesn't feel like a hug with no further reason, that's equivalent to the kid just not feeling like eating any vegetables ever. Furthermore, life is inherently emotionally and physically. Can you tell this is written by a dude? Oh, this is great. Okay. And I know Jeff's a good guy. But furthermore, life is inherently emotionally and physically invasive at times. Most, not all, kids need some exposure to grow a thick skin and be capable of handling shit and moving on. Physical consent ad infinitum for all casual contact between ages 0 and 5 is coddling, masquerading as SJW correct child rearing. And I really hate that it makes me sound like an old fucking conservative. Anyways, thanks for the vent, Jeff. Jeff, I will just say this. Communal human existence requires a certain trust in authority. If you're worried you might sound a bit like a conservative, remember that when Donald Trump got elected, conservatives said, hey, just trust the guy, okay? He's not going to hurt nobody. He doesn't mean it. And we all have seen how that's played out over the last year and change. Thanks for the feedback. Okay, I got one more email for y'all before we move on to this week's guest. I got an email. It's titled Couple Sex Club from Julia. She writes, hi, Billy. I know you'll have discussed this lots already, but do you have any advice for couples attending sex clubs for the first time together? I'm planning to go with my partner. He's been to a few, and I'm really excited to explore a little. It would be great to get the tea from someone who is in the know. Love the show. Been an avid listener for quite a while now. You and your community have been a big part of my sex-positive journey. Thanks so much for bringing all of us freaks together, Julia. Julia, hi. Hello. First off, you say that your partner, he's been to sex clubs before, so utilize him as a resource. He's been there. Ask him all the questions. I am sure that if he is a good partner, he will be eager to answer them to make you feel more comfortable so that he can go fuck you in front of other people. But since you asked me, here's what I got to say on the matter. I got a few tips. First one is pregame. No, not get drunk before you go get drunk. I mean, have a conversation before the party. Talk about your limits, your desires, and your expectations. Are you guys going to play with people together? Are you only going to play with people separately? Or are you not going to play with other people at all? Can y'all interrupt the scene if you're feeling lonely, jealous, or uneasy? What sort of safer sex practices do you plan on using? Do y'all have veto power with each other? These are the types of questions you're going to want to ask before attending your first sex party. All right. Next one is dress up. And I hate dressing up. Y'all have heard me bitch about this many a time. I do not like glossing up for a party, for a play party. I'm very vocal about this, but wearing a cute piece of underwear, some fun makeup, an outfit that stands out will make you look less like noobs. And also it's a great conversation starter and it makes you seem fun. The last sex party I went to, we did my beard up. We covered it in glitter. And I got so many compliments that night being like, oh my God, I love your beard. I love your glitter beard. Which then, after I went down on my date caused me to accidentally vajazzle their vag. I definitely had a less glittery beard after that, but it can be a conversation starter. It makes you seem like a fun person. For guys, That could even mean just like a cute colored boxer brief. Anna Super Slut will let you know she loves it when I wear my blue front pocket boxer briefs to Hacienda. And of course you can see a picture of that over on my Instagram. My next tip would be talk to people. Different sex parties are different, but at their core they are all parties. And what do you do at parties? You socialize, right? Introduce yourself to people. Have conversations. Remember that if you're feeling nervous, remember everyone else is either nervous like you or they were once nervous like you. Most people at these play parties are pretty friendly. And if they're not, it has nothing to do with you. Some parties have like their cliques. They have their cool kids club. They have the regulars who are weirdly antisocial because they think they're better than everyone else. But at the end of the day, you're all at the same sex party together and just go introduce yourself. Prioritize each other. And in parentheses, I say, if you want to, because I know everyone's relationship structures are different. Some of you are not hierarchical. Some of you are relationship anarchists. I'm saying this in the context of it's your first play party going together. If you were not a couple, right? If you were just saying, hey, I'm going to go with this like person I've gone on a couple dates with, or I'm going to go with a fuck buddy of mine to a sex party, I would say ask each other what level of priority you each are. Because again, you need to, communicate, have that conversation pre-game. But because y'all are in a committed relationship, I would assume that y'all love each other, have feelings for each other. You don't want each other to feel hurt. So for your first party, it's not a bad idea to make each other the first priority. Of course, it depends on where your relationship is at and what y'all want out of the party. But, check in with each other. If you separate, remind each other how you feel about each other. If someone wants to go home, then go home with no questions asked. Me personally, if I'm going to go to a play party with someone I am emotionally invested in, who I'm in a romantic relationship with, I sometimes need to know that, even if I'm not going to use the veto card, it makes me feel more comfortable and confident knowing that I do have that card, that I am special to somebody. Figure out where y'all stand with each other, but for your first party, I would encourage him to default to your discomforts. And my last note here is focus on sexual, not sex. And I recommend this to anyone doing any sort of hooking up or casual sex, but you don't have to fuck at the fuck party. A lot of people, usually the most popular question I get at comedy shows or just in casual conversation from people is, oh my God, so if you go to a sex party, do you have to have sex? Of course not. That'd be crazy. Simply attending a sex party does not mean you have consented to fuck anyone and everyone there or at all. Fuck if you want to, fuck if you can, but know that the only expectations of you are the ones you set for yourself. You define your own success and then have fun. And that plays into the pre-game conversation. Hey, what do we want to do? Oh, I have this huge fantasy of you sucking my cock with another woman or person. Cool. Let's try to accomplish that. Hey, I really was hoping you'd be able to bend me over something at some point and give me a thorough spanking. Fantasmic. Let's do it. Neither of those examples even include fucking. But hey, if you want to fuck at the party, go for it. And if not, that's fine too. I hope any of that helps. And if you have any comments or questions or feedback, shoot me an email at manwhorepod@gmail.com. And now for this week's guest, Venus Lux, AVN award-winning transgender porn star. Venus is actually won Transsexual Performer of the Year twice, as well as an additional AVN for Best Transsexual Sex Scene in a movie very beautifully titled T.S. I Love You. And we do talk about in this episode the types of terminology used in the marketing of various porn that involves trans performers. We talk about using the word transsexual. We talk about using the phrases like she-male that are like super derogatory. And so we talk about that type of stuff. But there is something really nice and sweet about the title T.S. I Love You. Venus was the very first recording of my trip to Las Vegas for the Adult Entertainment Expo and AVN Awards. And just, it was such a wonderful first recording. I was really happy she helped kick off the trip the right way. And that's why I want her to be the first AVN episode that I give to y'all. She was super awesome. She's so nice, very funny, gorgeous as fuck. I first became aware of Venus when I heard her on a different podcast. It's called The SDR Show, hosted by a buddy of mine, Ralph Sutton, whom y'all have probably heard on this very podcast. And I was like, wow, she's great. I should go follow her on the Twitter stuff. And then turned out, she's going to be at AVN. It's like, let's fucking chat. We had such a fantastic conversation. We talked about having boundaries with your fans and how to not be creepy. We talked about transphobia. We talked about the adult entertainment industry and how it can be more inclusive and accepting of trans. And we also talk about a bunch of queers living in the woods of Tennessee. If you enjoy my chat with Venus, we have a bonus episode with her coming out tomorrow on Patreon where we discuss, wanting to start a family. A topic not typical of the Man Whore Podcast. So if you want to hear that, go on over to patreon.com/Man Whore Podcast. You pledge $5, you get access to Venus's bonus episode and dozens of others. But for now, let's go ahead and get to my conversation with Venus Lux. The Man Whore Podcast is sponsored by beadandy.com, which is, to my knowledge, the only condom delivery subscription service that's out there. Beadandy.com. Wow, it's just, what a great idea to have a subscription service for condoms. I think that's fantastic. And beadandy.com works it out so it's less expensive than buying condoms at the store. That way you never run out. You're going to save some money. Not to mention shipping is discreet, so your neighbors don't have to know how much you're getting laid. Although, I don't know, I feel like there should be an option on their website where if you do want people to know how much you're getting laid, that you need a condom delivery subscription. I would pay an extra $1 for them to stamp exactly what's in the box. So listeners of the Man Whore Podcast are getting a special promotion. All right, 50% off your first order when you visit beadandy.com/podcast. Again, visit beadandy.com/podcast. That's beadandy.com/podcast. But now let's get back to the show.
We're just chilling.
Yeah. I'm new with the mic stance, but I'm trying to look more professional.
Yeah.
Also, when you hold one of these for too long, some people get tired.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Who knows? All right. So the thing with the boobs is, I thought my intern thought it would be a funny idea if on the convention floor, I went around doing short videos with porn stars and then afterwards be like, hey, want to sign my ass? I was like, okay, good ideas. I don't want to pull down my pants though. That can be creepy. So I thought, okay, what if I had assless chaps? But those apparently are fucking expensive.
Yes. And aren't allowed on the floor.
They're not allowed on the floor?
No, especially if you're not covering anything.
Well, I want something that was closed in the front and open in the back. So then I was like, oh, what if I got false breasts? So I want to cut out take a t-shirt, cut out the boobs in them and walk around, do some short video stuff, but then be like, hey, will you sign my tits? Mm-hmm. Because I feel like all the guys are looking for excuses to grab your tits. I'm like, nah, grab mine, but they're fake. So
that's a fun idea. That's a good way to interact with the girls and not feel too creeped out, but it's a gag joke. I would totally sign your tits.
You'll sign my tits? All right, well, let's have you sign them at the end of the episode. Yeah, that would be awesome. You're breaking my AVN cherry.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How so? I'm
This
your first?
This is the first one of the trip.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I had a 4:30 that canceled, so
Okay.
I don't want to name names, but yeah.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here. By the way, the areola is a little off.
Aerials, look, these are, I got these at some store in New York called Abracadabra. It's like a costume shop. Normally people rent these. When I say I want to buy them, they're like, you want a what now?
No, unless you're a drag queen, then it might just work.
Right. But apparently these are for more people wearing a shirt over them to look real.
Got it. Those are ginormous, though.
They're a good size, like for tits. If you're gonna pick your
Does
tits,
it cup? Oh, it doesn't even cup anything. It's just
no, it's like it's full.
it's made for like literally flat-chested people who want double D's. Like these tits are ginormous. They're bigger than mine.
What? How big are your tits?
Mine are like a C cup or a C cup. That's definitely bigger than mine. Like this is my hand cup, and this is like. Yeah, this is ginormous. This is like a porn star titty.
Yeah, I felt like that was a pro. When I walked in and they were like, "Hey, we've got that here," and I was like, "Perfect." They had two. The other one was all busted at like half a nipple off. I was like,
God.
nobody wants a half nipple
Yeah,
off.
especially if they rented them. So I'm sure there's been used and abused. And
Oh,
hopefully
yes.
there's no jizz on it.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Get a black light.
Oh no, there's a viral video for you. Oh boy.
funny.
Well, this is a good time to say I'm with Venus Lux, AVN nominated porn star. I'm out here in Las Vegas.
Yes. And also, I've won before, so I'm not too worried about this year. But I'm excited.
Oh, you got it in the bag?
Yeah, well, I have 2015, I have 2016, a transsexual performer of the year already, and I can't win all of them. So I'm glad.
Says who?
Says me. I'm trying to reprogram my brain because I'm a competitive person.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get me thinking like I think I have a chance, and I'm just gonna really like just start thinking and analyzing it. So for me, I think the most proactive and positive way is just, having a fun time connecting with people out here, win or lose, and also like just appreciating being in a category with other hardworking girls. So I'm trying to be a glass half full.
Yeah. So is the weekend for you more about like the interacting with like the other girls and with, interacting with fans more than it is the award show, or what? Like, what's this? Because you've done this weekend multiple times.
Yeah.
What's it about for you?
So it's been 6 years now I've been doing this. Is my 6th year. And for me, the first couple of years was more of like a work networking operation when I came out here, and just really just hustle and bustle. I had a booth which I was managing with like 8 to 12 other girls. I was like recording their schedule and making sure they're showing up on time. That was stressful. So I opted out of that. And then now it's like, you know what? I don't have to do all of that. So nowadays I just kind of look at it as a way to kind of reconnect with familiar faces and saying hi and hanging out, catch a drink. And especially that seldom I can be able to meet them, especially that we're only seeing each other interacting on Twitter or Instagram.
The fans, you mean?
My friends, other porn stars, other producers, directors, the fans wise, of course, I have loyal fans who come see me every single year, which I love and I adore that. That's why I keep coming, just so I can be able to say hi and just, welcome a new year. But it's always fun but in moderation. Thank God. This is only 1 week.
I can handle my fans from 1 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. on Thursday and Saturday only. That's
not like 8-hour shifts each day for like 4 or 5 days straight. I think that's a bit much. God bless these girls who are, on the floor signing and meeting fans and then going to the strip club or to a bar and they're like meeting their fans even more. Like unless you really love that, sure. For me, I just can't deal with that amount of crowds, and just in my face. I would just be so distorted.
not into people.
I love people.
Groups. Yeah.
I think it's just more so, there's so many times I can give an awkward hug and
an awkward
hug or get one. And, seldom I get an opportunity to be able to have a real interaction with a fan and really have a good convo outside of pornography or what I do for a living, so when everyone comes and says, I love your movies, I wish I was with you and fucking right now, can I get your number?
Oh.
Are you single? Can we make a movie together? Like, these are the typical reactions I get. Or like, how come you don't work with this person? Why don't you work with that company? I'm like, if you knew about porn politics, you understand, but you don't. I don't have the time to explain right now. I have like 5 other people behind you that I had to say hi to. So it becomes like assembly line routine. Don't get me wrong. I love it, especially when there's good moments where, they bring their little art pieces they made.
You get fan art?
Or they even just get me a Red Bull, or to get me a drink, just being nice. And that kind of just makes me love them even more, It's just sometimes I just can't deal with obnoxious fans. Where they're just really in your face, or they're just kind of like wandering at your booth and not. Yes, if you're fans, if you're listening to this,
listen up.
This is for porn. This is porn, how to talk to a porn star. And this is the etiquette you need to have when it comes to like conventions like these. Sitting or standing at the booth for more than 15 minutes becomes awkward. And when you keep looking at me and looking at my DVDs and don't buy anything and just trying to make small chat, I'm sorry, but when I'm on the show floor, that's not what I'm there for. But if you want a conversation, you want to get me a drink outside, sure, you can offer me that, but just hovering at the booth, it makes me feel uncomfortable. It makes me want to call security. But when you get me drinks, or you give me fan art, or you buy a DVD, or you give me a hug, or you just say hi, that's totally awesome. And I love that. And I appreciate that.
And the dude part of me that, automatically wants to try to empathize, as a former loser myself, I like to think of myself currently as a loser, just in disguise. I empathize with the type of person who maybe is hovering. You're talking about a person who like is at the booth, doesn't say anything though, like hasn't come to say hello, is just standing and staring.
Yeah.
It's like, I can understand maybe like the nervousness. It's like, oh my God, this is Venus Lux in person. Mm-hmm. But like, dude, just like step away, like go further away, like be not noticeable, like don't do that. When you get the courage to go say hello, which should be easy, you're very approachable and smiley and nice, right?
Yeah, totally.
Very chill, but it's like, don't the hovering.
The hovering. So that kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies. But other than that, like 75%, 90% of the time is fine.
Have you ever had to call security?
There are some moments where there is just a lot of there's a level of inappropriateness, for a variety of things, more so because there's not enough trans people at these conventions. Even there's more than most, but the other conventions I've been to, I'm usually one of very few, or I'm the only one. So when it comes to an inappropriate encounter, I feel very awkward, and I sometimes feel I need to call security when like I get, my ass grabbed, or there is a level of harassment that is inappropriate and demeaning when it comes to like, oh, you're a man, you have a penis, you're not a woman, or like things like that. So I get a variety, but I've learned to kind of succumb to a point where like when it pushes boundaries, call security. But if it's something that you can handle yourself, brush it off. Because at the end of the day, I kind of put myself in this position to be oogled at by all these guys who jerk off to porn. So I don't blame anyone, but at the same time, it sucks that I wish there was like a moniker on my forehead, like, hey, consent, hey, respect,
right,
hey, ask first, things like that, just so things were a little bit more easier to read versus people just assuming like, oh, okay, I touched that girl's ass, I could totally touch yours. But there's not many of those situations. More so people are just leery and nervous or shy or astonished or just curious about me having a penis,
right,
most of the times, because they just don't encounter enough transsexuals in real life.
Do you like, because some people would maybe think, oh, if you're the only trans porn star at a convention, you're like, you got the monopoly on the trans fans.
Kinda.
But you would prefer to have more there, and to feel.
My intention mainly going to these conventions is just putting myself out there so I can serve as a visual aid for those who want to understand about transgender folks. And I love when fans ask me more about in-depth questions about trans lifestyle, how I transition, what does transitioning mean when it comes to sexuality versus gender identity. Like, I like educating, especially being approached in a polite manner, and not a very abrasive manner. That's why I continue doing the work that I do in a public manner, is to be able to reinforce the statement that trans are people, trans are sexually active and are sexy as well. Trans are in society, and if you're living in like Alabama and Kentucky, you don't never seen a transsexual or transgender before, I would like to be the first make the best first impression and not give you a bad experience, and give you something that you can take home and like fill your curiosity. I'm like, oh, I met this trans girl. She was pretty chill. She was cool. She educated me a little bit and maybe opened up my mind about sexuality. I'm going to go home and Google this. And most times, majority of my fans who send me fan mail are like telling me like I'm their first time when it comes to converting them to trans pornography. So I feel like I owe myself to do that kind of public service, since porn doesn't really educate much about sexuality or transgender folks. So I just, I try to use my movies as vehicles for people to get to me, and then be able to allow me to broaden up their minds.
Yeah, they get to like watch you fuck and be like, okay, like I'm into this, so this is a thing that happens, and then they want to know the actual questions about what that life experience is like. Then they can actually ask you at one of these conventions or on Twitter or whatever. Okay,
especially when sex is something that isn't there's no sex education, formal sex education.
Oh yeah, it's my big fucking problem, and everything, like whether it be, I don't know, STI rates spiking a district in Texas where they got rid of sex ed, or like even the Aziz Ansari story. The thing that I took the most from it, I was just like, if we just taught sex ed, comprehensive sex ed, this would happen less.
Yeah.
Because people would know to talk about sex, and they would know what consent is, and they would know about nonverbals. And
and just figuring out how to really understand your own sexuality versus having to project your insecurities onto others. I feel like those times, people are just act out of ignorance, when you can literally, try to like, but at the same time, I can't really say you could try, because there's not like books you can really read, unless it's, actually there are.
There's plenty of books.
Plenty of porn star books. Yeah. Coming out like a porn star. I believe.
Gisli.
Yeah. So that's a good example. I like to refer out to those who are interested about sex workers and porn stars.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot. I like doing that. I like building community. I like community. I like educating. And I love porn. It's the best of everything right now, and definitely living a dream.
That's fantastic. Did you have any sex ed growing up?
Quite the opposite.
Yeah?
I was raised on like a homophobic, racist, and very binary family, where men are supposed to bring in the dough, and the women are supposed to cook, clean, marry, not work. So it's a very interesting.
Didn't you grow up in San Francisco?
Yeah, but I have immigrant parents. I'm first generation, and
they're like, why so many rainbows in this city?
Right? Like, they don't even know why. I'm just like, Mom, Dad, there's hints all over. But my dad was pretty homophobic, and so kind of like odd that I came out, when I was young, I came out gay, and he was like thrown off by that. My mom, she was more about, as the oldest son, she was like, oh, marry a girl, have kids, be a lawyer, be a doctor, and you'll be good. But now as a woman,
that's got to be rough. Immigrant parents, not only are they like telling you what job to be, they're also telling you what gender to be and what sexual orientation.
Yeah, my mom tells me that I should just marry up and not work so hard. I'm just like, Mom, I like being independent. So it's different,
So mom's on board with that you are trans and that you're a woman, but still like, could you marry a doctor? How about that?
Yeah, totally. Can you marry a doctor and like put mom in a nice house? I'm like, oh my god. So so that's why I've kind of been pretty much doing my own thing. My mom supports. I guess supports. Yeah, I wouldn't say just approve, but now she supports me. She knows everything I do. All the sex working I do.
Yeah.
And my dad doesn't know. He doesn't even know I'm a woman.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I've been seeing. My parents are separated since I was like 2. Yeah, so but I've had my relationship with my dad till I was like 15, and then so now he's like in China somewhere, and also my stepdad was Arab. Like from Saudi Arabia, speaks Arabic, total Muslim, and that was really rough.
Oh gosh, how so? I have images in my mind.
Well,
like he accepts you as a woman, but now you have less rights. It's
he's no longer with us
Okay.
right now. But he when he found out like my stash of like pornography, he hated me. And then when he found out I was a woman, like. He wouldn't even talk to me. So that's why I was like, I had to like understand and build a level of tough skin to really understand how to be in my own skin. And sexuality, I had to navigate it on my own, from experimenting with, my sexuality starting as 13, being raised in such a isolated, conservative background. I was like, what is sex?
Yeah.
I'm feeling the urges of puberty. I'm human. I feel like I'm something wrong, but I couldn't really express that much to my family because they were just like, oh, you're just going through a phase. Don't even think about it. So having to explore back in the day with like AOL chat rooms.
Ooh, classics with the AOL chat rooms. Oh, and because we're like the same age.
How
so
old are you?
I'm 28.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was 89. Yeah. And that was, when we were in grade school, was that popping?
Yeah. It was popping, especially when you collected all those DVD or CD-ROMs.
Yeah.
And just get those free trials. And it was also like, the only easy to access whenever you want to access place to be able to converse with those who are in the LGBT community, for my age, I guess. Although there are a lot of creepers on there. I don't recommend that today. It was, if it wasn't for AOL, I don't think I would be able to navigate my sexuality at all. Like to experiment, like how dick tastes like or feels like, or what cum is.
Did you ask like the chat rooms, be like, hey, like I'm thinking about sucking my first cock, like what's that going to be like? Any tips?
Yeah. It was I went around like that and be able to kind of like experiment and experience the conversation about sex, so it took a while for me to open up because I just didn't have any understanding of like what vocabulary to use. When someone mentioned cum, like, do you like cum? I was like, what is cum?
What is that? When I was a kid, I remember distinctly in 7th grade, I'm in science class, and I was a huge loser. I had no friends.
First time?
That was the first time coming, but it was just, I remember this one time in the science classroom where the boys are talking like before or after class, and I didn't fit in with the guys. So I was always trying to see if I could fit in. And I remember they were talking about like jizzing, and they were talking about how long it would take them to jizz. And so I didn't know, I had jizzed, but I didn't know like how long it would take. And I didn't know what was good. Like they were talking about like, I couldn't tell if going long or short was good. I was like,
you have interesting guy friends.
I mean, I wish I had the friends. These are just dudes I'm trying to like, I was like, somebody accept me.
Yeah.
But so they were like, yeah, I know, I jizzed after like 5 minutes. So I was like, do I go above? Do I go below that? Do you want to be quick, fast? I was like, I can jizz in 4. And I was just like waiting to see what the reaction would be. Just like, am I going towards or away from the goal?
Yeah. That's tough, especially when you're talking with friends, because like there's a level of like boundaries or a level of insecurities, around that. Fortunately, I feel like I was able to like talk to potential sex partners or people who weren't so awkward, when it came to this. I feel like when it comes to like straight guys, it's all about this kind of macho atmosphere and this persona you're trying to convey, like, oh, I could come for 15 minutes. No, I can come for 25, but when I was kind of conversing with
25 sounds exhausting, by the way.
That sounds really exhausting.
I did 15 the other night and I was like, that was work.
Well, I don't know about jizzing for 15 minutes, but masturbating, yeah.
Jerking off for that long. jerking off, I'll jerk off for forever.
There's no way you can just keep coming for 15 minutes and that's
Nah.
like just drain your whole body full of liquid.
It'd be that scene in Saw where they have to like drain the blood. You just die at some point.
Yeah,
When
you
you
just
lose,
die.
you jizz out.
You just out. Oh my god, that'd be so awesome.
Someone bleeds out and said they jizz out.
Maybe just some person just keep milking.
Oh gosh. Oh, that sounds so painful.
That sounds painful. But yeah, so that was kind of my experience with sexuality. And then porn came into my lap, and that helped definitely broaden up my understanding of what I like and what I don't like, what are the boundaries I want to set for myself, what is consensual, what is non-consensual. And now I feel like as a queer identified pansexual, bisexual, open-minded, whatever you want to call
But
it.
I'm writing down all these terms. There's so many. No.
Yeah, it's nice. And fortunately, it's nice to be able to still make money and explore my sexuality through pornography.
That's fantastic. I mean, yeah. I mean, what a way to find out like what you're digging by getting paid for it.
Yeah, and also you have to do it well though, so you can consistently doing it. Otherwise, you just try it once and you fail. Like, yeah, you're not going to get work again.
Yeah, well, you don't become like an AVN award-winning talent like yourself. Just being mediocre.
Or just having you just wouldn't be able to have a career. Period, yeah.
You were shooting today, right?
Yeah, it was a good shoot with a friend of mine, and we haven't touched base in a while, and we finally shot, and it was really hot.
So instead of like let's go grab a drink, it's like let's shoot a scene.
Yeah, totally, and catch up while we're fucking. So that was the vibes that we it's kind of weird, how, the conversations amongst peers or coworkers are very different, in ways where we're so much more open about our sexualities and I feel like our agendas are on our sleeves. If we are mentioning sex or mentioning work, that is kind of automatically assumed, as what we do for a living, what our desires are. Of course, as a way how you approach it too. It can be like, oh, I want to fuck you right now. Let's go make a porno.
Yeah, let's porn it now. Yeah.
I don't know about that, but yeah, we try to connect. We shot before for kink.com, and his name is Sergeant Miles, and
Sergeant Miles.
Sergeant Miles, yeah.
Is this dude or
dude? So dude with a big old dick.
Okay,
so
I'm writing big old dick,
big old
with an
dick.
apostrophe.
And we were able to just have fun, get kinky, and just fuck each other around. And
what kind of kink are we talking? Like,
some choking. No, actually, a lot of choking, slapping,
a lot of choking,
a lot of choking, a lot of slapping, a lot of spit, a lot of fucking bareback, and hair pulling, and a lot of cum. It was like romantic, but like really like passionate, aggressive, raunchy, and it was just really fun. It's nice to have that level of sex. Like I said to him after we had sex, I was like, I wish I could have sex like this once a week at least.
And do you not?
Not like that. Like
No?
it depends on the chemistry and the vibe, And some people aren't into like rough sex. Some people like it more sensual, For me, like it depends on my mood, and also depends on a person. And with Sergeant Miles, I like it super rough. Like, yeah. And I was happy he gave me a slap. I was like cheerful. Like, okay, you felt confident enough to slap me, but you could definitely slap me a little bit more. Yeah, I'm trying to push the boundaries a little bit more. And because I've always been in such a controlled character. Mm-hmm. Like I'm a doctor, I'm a physician.
Everything mom wanted.
Yeah, right? I'm like, so I'll take
What a way to get
care
back
of
at
you.
mom, by the way, by only doing porns as the professions that like everyone wanted you to be growing up.
Right, totally. I'm like, Mom, I am a doctor, but just for today. And by the way, no, I'm doing a rectal exam. So yeah, but mom knows everything about it, and she supports it. She knows about my AVN awards and this and that. So she's happy that at least can be able to like live a steady life, not be homeless, because God bless, I'm very fortunate to have this life. And a lot of girls out there don't have a job, you know? So very, very, very exhilarated to have this life and keep sharing it. I think that's what I've been given this opportunity, is to share this opportunity and connect with people, whether it be my fans, whether it be peers, whether it be other trans folks, and build community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Hey, you discover anything you didn't like by trying it out through porn in particular? And you were like, let's do that porn. Because I want to try that.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you did the porn and you left kind of limping, being like, ooh, I don't want to try that again.
Well, I wonder if you could relate to this. I think when there's sometimes just like when it comes to work, and there's some things where you're like, you're not like, for instance, like if you worked on McDonald's and you were like, no one's washing dishes, and now I gotta wash the dishes because it's my job. I'm working the shift. Who else is doing it? It's some of those moments for me as well when it's like, okay, I got booked for this shoot. I didn't really have a say on my scene partner, so I guess I'll have to do this and try to figure out how to find something to connect with this partner to make this porno hot.
Yeah.
So how there's situations, and especially in a situation where there's like no chemistry at all.
Oh, and you still have to shoot it.
You still have to shoot it and keep that hard deck, and you're just like, there's no chemistry here. There's no character. It's just dry. I feel like this person's totally faking it. It is what it is. It's a job, and not every day is going to be exhilarating cum shot day.
Yeah.
But just like every job, it has its good times and bad times. I don't know. What about your job? Do you have some bad parts about your job?
This one being poor is a high one.
What about meeting boring people?
I find myself fortunate because like I've been doing this now full time for a little over a year, and so like the people I get to meet are awesome people like yourself. So I get to fly to Vegas and be like, I'm just gonna go meet only interesting people.
Cool.
Like I specifically don't even, because the publicists they'll just be like, I got a list of these 7 people I'm repping this weekend. Like you should talk to all of them. I was like, there's no way all 7 of these people are awesome.
Yeah.
Like just like there are boring construction workers and boring accountants, there are probably some boring personality porn stars.
Yeah.
I have to imagine.
Yeah. You have to imagine that, yeah.
Like have you ever talked to one like outside of a shoot and be like, how are you so boring? Like you're so hot.
I wish
and
I
yet,
could say that.
No,
no, I don't get the balls because I would like hate to like fuck up my reputation.
Oh, sorry. We don't want to make. It's okay. You can tell me off mic.
We totally.
No, I would say this job's pretty cool. I find. I mean, other than like I said, being the broke comedian part. When I had a day job, it was a lot easier. But
do you do this full time now, right?
Yeah, a little over a year of that, and I'm fucking stoked about it.
And where do you live?
I live in Brooklyn.
Oh, hilarious!
Where all the other like very poor artists live.
My family lives in Gravesend.
Ooh,
Sheepheads Bay area.
I'm up in Bushwick.
Bushwick.
It's very artistic chic these days.
Okay, I haven't been there in a while, but it's not that far. It's still
a bunch of kids our age ruining the neighborhood with their coffee shops. So
Yeah.
I'm like, get out of here! You're ruining it for me.
Yeah. Well, at least a lot of things are more convenient there. Down where I am, like things close at like 10. Nothing really delivers.
Yeah, that's one of the things that keeps me from going to like say, wait, you live in LA, right?
No,
Oh.
I live in Tennessee now.
Wait, what? How is that not a thing I got prepped on? Lainey, what are you doing? Wait,
yeah.
why are you living in Tennessee? Is
so-
there like a hot porn industry in Tennessee that I don't know about? Is there a Nashville Valley?
Yeah, I play my banjo in Nashville. No, I'm just kidding.
I was gonna say if you play the banjo, I quit. I don't. This is not in my research.
I'm in a bluegrass group. No. So I moved to Tennessee more so to just kind of get a breath of fresh air from the city vibes. My family live in New York. I was born in San Francisco, and most of my work and job has been based in Vegas and LA. So it dawned on me. I was like, oh my God, I can't get space. How can I really find peace and relief from the chaos of the day to day, of whether it be traffic, whether it be electricity outage, or airport issues. I don't know. So I kind of was like figuring out like, I need to find a new place to call home. I just don't find it to be home anymore. And then a girlfriend of mine, who's another trans porn star, mentioned to me, shout out to Mandy Mitchell, that's to you. She mentioned to me like, oh yeah, there's queers living in the woods, just doing their thing.
What?
And I was like, what? What are LGBT folk doing in the woods in the country in the South? So I had to check it out. I felt like I was like finding like the long neck tribe in like Thailand. I'm like, where the illustrious long neck tribe?
Follow the trail of glitter and you'll find your tribe.
The Rainbow Brick Road.
Yeah.
So I went on a whim, after I turned 27, I was like, I got to do this. This is my birthday present to myself. So I bought a ticket from New York to Tennessee, and a friend of a friend of a friend provided housing for me. And after that visit in October, I was like, wow, this is nice to be in the countryside where I have peace. I can appreciate the nature, trees, the water. I have space to think or write my book. But at the same time, I have so much around me to connect with people who have different backgrounds from different parts of the country or the state. And they flock over here to start a new life and to regroup. And there's currently two communes out there that provide kind of like a level of sanctuary to LGBT folk, which that really hit the nail on the head for me about moving out there. I was like, wow, there's something good happening here that I would love to support and foster, and maybe create something of my own, as a person of color, as a woman, as a sex worker, as a trans person, as a millennial,
which to some people, that's the dirtiest word of the things you just said.
Millennial.
To like my to my grandparents, they would be like, oh, that's the worst one. Millennial of all those things.
Yeah. Because what is tradition, and sometimes traditions are meant to be broken, and I felt like I had to break away from my family's tradition of basically living a very basic life and just doing the same old things. So moving out to Tennessee, I was like, you know what? I hope to buy some land, be able to foster a community of my own, and maybe, who knows, provide more resources to those who need it.
Buying land, it's such a weird concept, because when people, I said almost like kids our age, Jesus, when people our age start buying land, I'm just like, wait, you do what now?
Yeah.
I'm used to New York City. You never get to own there unless you like fucking made it. So I'm just like, wait, what? You're gonna buy? You just bought a plot of land for cheaper than what I pay in rent?
Yeah, and I think that is what that was kind of the smart move that I had to kind of kick myself about, more so that if I get rooted into this rental system thinking like, oh, I have to find the cheapest place to rent, I'm like, the cheapest thing to do is to be able to buy a house and pay a mortgage.
Right. Do the neighbors know what you do?
I'm currently staying with friends right now. I'm going through the land hunt right now. There's just not many single family homes on minimum of 20-acre lands available for sale, because most of it is owned by like old people, or like 100 years old and waiting to die. Literally. But it's part of the American dream.
In my mind, it's it's like one less Trump voter at a time.
Oh, there's a lot of Trump voters out there.
Yeah, it's fucking Tennessee. Did you know where you were moving to?
Yeah. Well, I did know, because the inner activist inside of me, I was like, fuck white supremacists out there. I'm going to do something to be able to benefit my community and figure out how we can shift those tides.
Time for the fan whore appreciation moment. What's up? This is the part of the podcast where I like to thank those of you who make sex podcasting as a profession possible. This time where I like to give a shout out to a couple of my members on my Patreon. Right now I want to give a shout out to Nix out in Puerto Rico. I'm glad that despite the destruction and devastation on your island, you're still like, yo, bro, I need Wi-Fi because I got to call my family and I got to download the Man Whore podcast. Thank you so much for your support. Shout out to Joseph S. You know who you are. Your last name, we're just going to say, is a synonym of pointy. Thank you so much for your enthusiastic participation in the Peep Show and sharing your super hot wife with the community. Speaking of the Peep Show, I want to give a shout out to Shannon F., a Peep Show favorite and regular. Oh gosh, thank you so much for supporting me, and I'm glad you're part of the group. We love you in there, Shannon. Thanks for being a part. And you too can become a member for as little as $1 per month. Yes, for just $1, you can support me and this show, and you can join a bustling community both on Facebook and Kick. All you have to do is head on over to patreon.com/manwhorepodcast, make a pledge, become a member today. That's Patreon, patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. But now let's go ahead and wrap up with Venus Lux. Well, there was when we were talking about sex education and porn, and how porn's not really the best place for sex education, but the transgender category, for example, is still like transsexual porn or transvestite or TV or TS.
It's
right?
more, I think it's transsexual.
Transsexual,
which means that, someone augmented their body to look more like the gender that they're trying to present. So going through that surgery, that's the transsexual. So that's how AVN uses it as its a category advertisement.
But, and is porn at some point going to catch up with politically correct,
more
language?
PC terms? I think when it comes to pornography, a lot of people prefer trans women to have breast augmentation, hence why the usage of transsexual.
Sure.
I think if they use the word transgender, it would include a lot. Is such a huge umbrella term, So I think, it's mind you, this has all been created by, heteronormative cisgender folk who just trying to be friendly and include, but don't necessarily know the right or wrong way to approach something. But
they got the internet. They can. I'm sure someone's brought it up at some point.
Some
you could just shorten it to best trans star or something that would probably be.
I don't know.
Better.
I don't know, but it's porn politics and porn SEO, porn term usage. And then when it comes to technology and advertisement in that capacity, it's really hard to kind of eliminate or that unless it becomes obsolete. But because it's not obsolete, people continue using it. I don't really have a stigma or something against the usage of transsexual. More so transvestite or ladyboy or she-male are more vulgar to me. But transsexual, transgender is very PC for me.
Yeah.
TS, trans, T-girl, all are appropriate as well. Those are all the safe terms I use. But hopefully that answers your question.
Well, when sometimes do you still get pitched maybe like movies that they're going to be titled like she-male this or whatever, and
I avoid it now.
So you like have enough power where you feel comfortable be like, I just don't want to do that movie unless you want to change the title. Yeah,
I avoid shooting with companies who use that word, and I've been doing that since I guess 2-3 years now. More so, I think I did it before I won my AVN awards, because I was like, okay, I'm trying to get as much work as possible to get that award. Now I have that award. I'm just I don't really want to, I don't really need to, and nor do I really condone that, because it means that if I work with that company, it means I condone that word. And I don't even use that for my company in advertisements of like she-male, ladyboy. I attempted it once. Doesn't really make a difference for me. So that's why I was like,
make a difference hits-wise or feelings-wise? Right.
Wise and feelings wise, it's personal, affects me personally, just like if you're trying to advertise black porn and you're trying to use the N-word, I'm like, no person will feel comfortable with that. So she-male does that same for me. So I try to avoid it, and working with companies that use it, especially the companies who are owned by cisgender folk who haven't really opened dialogue to really gentrify things are slowly changing, but I'm not so sure for the right reasons. I'm thinking maybe it's because of maybe boycotting. But just fine, because at least change is happening.
Yeah, you gotta, some people just have to fake it till they make it. I don't think we need to get, all bigots to especially the old ones who are dying students. Like, not all of them are going to change their mind, but if we can get them to be respectful in their practices and votes.
Yeah, I'm just glad that people aren't such bigots, So, more so just, people are just awkward or don't know how to approach something, but at least they're not bigots, you know, guys. Before porn, I was, you know, dealing with a lot of discrimination and whatnot. So being in porn, I'm very fortunate to deal with, you know, trans positive folks, you know, even though they may not be as positive as I want them to be, they at least are neutral.
Are there any particular like studios or companies or sites that you find to be like more trans friendly than others? I mean, obviously, anyone you work with, like everyone should check those out and everything.
Yeah.
But like, other ones maybe you haven't worked with, but that you think are going in the right direction.
I like kink.com a lot when it comes to their friendliness. I have yet to work with Pink and White for their queer website, although I would love to explore that. What else? Transensual, I guess they're pretty good. Evil Angel is pretty good.
Yeah.
You know? So those are the few I can think of on top of my head.
Because like the indie porn scene, like a lot of that Bay Area porn scene, they're all about that, and they're very good about that. Like Crash Pad series.
Crash Pad, Pink and White,
Oh, the same. Okay,
they're like partners. So I love Crash Pad, you know, and they're one of like the few queer companies, you know, that really exemplify, you know, a humanized sex without these really campy character roles. You know, it's just pure queer sex. I love that about that, you know, where people can just be in their own skin and have fun. So yeah, it's going to take time for things to blossom. Trans porn, there's only like 10 studios or less that operate in America, and I'm one of them. Yeah. So, you know, it's
which is you being part of the change.
Yeah, having my own production company as well, and, you know, but, you know, I'm trying to figure out how I can do better with my production company. So it's going to take time, you know. Gay porn had its moment to expand and blossom, and now it's totally huge. Now we're waiting for trans to really navigate its own expansion and finding its place in society.
Yeah. And do you think society has to change before that can happen? Or do you think, okay.
Or
you don't think that like the people could be changing by like, they're using the transgender term now in all my porn, so I guess I got to use it now too. That even my porn won't say she-male or lady boy, so I guess I can't.
It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell how to anticipate, but I think that's one good approach by leading by example. But in my trans opinion, I feel, you know, porn can also help educate if it was storyboarded correctly or in a manner where it's served as an educational vehicle, or just really focusing on how to continuously bring more awareness about trans issues, transgender people, and fostering those relationships by educating society of what is appropriate, what's not appropriate, and continuing that dialogue, and not just opening up, but continuing it so things continuously become more of a norm, and trans being hopefully being used more as a household word to discuss about. So in time, I think it's just more visibility, more awareness, more activism, and more empowerment, and also more trans people in power. We this year we saw a trans black woman join politics, you know.
Yeah.
Which was amazing. It was down in the South, I believe.
I think there were a couple. One of them was Danica Rome at the Virginia House representative.
Yeah.
She won. And she ran not as like, I'm the trans candidate. She was like, our roads suck. Let's fix the roads.
Yeah. So that's one way of being, being more of a norm, and by just, expressing how human you really are, even though you may be trans. And I think when society comes to terms with that, like, oh, you're just like any other human on the street. So what's in between your legs? I don't care. But you seem like you have the same vibes as me. We share the same issues of fixing the road, So I think more of that we need in our communities, in our society, to to really support and push this level of like acceptance and advocacy for trans folks, and hopefully that will lead to more opportunities to expand maybe like employment or better health care.
Yeah.
The list goes on.
Does go on. And I think part of that can be like the media not over sensationalizing every time we have a, like, it's fine. I think it's great. And like, this is, I recognize, like, I'm saying this having all the quote unquote best adjectives. But it's like, if, you know, it's fine. Like when you say, oh, the first Black director to win an Academy Award, like, okay, great. Like celebrating these like first, cool. But like when they say the third African American, like, okay, like if we're ever going to make this a normal thing, you at some point just have to like stop sensationalizing with the clickbaity headline and just like say so-and-so just won the Academy Award or whatever it is. Or the first trans politician. Great. The seventh. Okay. Can we stop counting and just say like Danica won?
I think when we get to that seventh point, I think that will become a norm, you know, because it just won't be a headline worthy. But right now, because the trans is such a new thing, you know, there is going to be a couple of, you know, sensational articles in the next couple of years until we hit our seventh, you know, trans senator, and like, oh, we don't need to talk about her.
It's like, we don't care anymore. We get it.
We get it. You know, yeah, she happens to be trans. So what? But yeah, she's a senator. Cool. So I think that's in time. I think you can give it 20, 50 years.
Oh no, I hope it doesn't take that long.
I know, but you know, it's not like I'm actually
for your benefit, because like I know what it's like on this side of the aisle. It's pretty sweet. Like I want y'all to be able to enjoy it too, like sooner.
Well, I think we'll see a shift. You know, we'll see how our presidential candidacy, how, you know, what's that's gonna.
2018, everyone go vote, please.
Right, and seeing how many more trans people are willing to step up this year to really, you know, help empower, lead, and you know, advocate for what's really important that we should all come together for.
That's awesome. Venus, thanks for chatting with me. This is really fun. Where can people go find you on the places and such?
They can check out my Twitter at Venus Lux. I do not use Instagram anymore because they're not trans friendly, or not for my body, that is. And there's too many trolls. So you could stick to my Twitter, and you can check out my website, venus-lux.com. Yeah, I think those are the ones. And if you're a fan who likes to watch where I go, check out my onlyfans.com/Venus Lux.
And when you go see Venus at any of these conventions or on the street, remember, like, just try not to be creepy. Just say
hi. Like, hi, how are you doing?
Hi, how you doing? Maybe a hug if you're down. Ask if you can have a hug, and then you go. Then leave. Like, that's how it goes. This is not a who's got the time for 20 minutes each person. Fantastic. Do you have like maybe 10 minutes? We could do a little bonus episode for folks?
Sure.
All right, cool. Patreon people, you know, you're going to get to check that out. Yeah, okay. But until now, Vince, why don't you say goodbye to everyone?
Bye. Thanks for listening.
Let me know what you thought about this week's episode. Give me a shout out on Twitter and Instagram. I am at the Billy Procida. Use the hashtag ManWhorePodcast. Makes it easy for me to find your posts. Of course, I hope you all go like the Man Whore Podcast Facebook page if you want to see some fun behind-the-scenes action and join some discussions on all sorts of sex and dating topics. Email me your comments, your questions, your booby pictures, your dick pics that say my name on them to manwhorepod@gmail.com. Waking up to your emails is literally one of my favorite parts of the day. And last but certainly not least, I do hope you will join the Fan Whore community on Patreon and support the work that I am doing, putting out a full-length podcast every week for over 200 weeks. Become a member today by visiting patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. That's Patreon, patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. But now I'm gonna go off. I got to clean my room because I've got a date tonight. Actually, I've got 2 dates tonight. I've got a date in a couple hours, coffee date. Then I got I got to host a singles mixer for onspeeddating.com. Then I got a late night date with a woman on Tinder who described herself as both a socialist and an avid list maker. So I'm kind of hoping we can make a list of things we can do together while naked. So that's me, everybody. Next week, we're going to be sitting down with a woman from my past. Should be a good one. Stay slutty.